Okay, Thomas, baptism testimony.
Some of you know me, a lot of you don't. I'm Thomas Hale. I grew up in the church, but not this church. But eventually I started coming here when I was very young. Very good friend, Michael. But eventually I kind of stopped going around middle and high school. Not all bad. I still went to a Christian middle and high school. But eventually, I went to public school, UCSB, and I decided to come back here after going to college because I felt that you guys are all wonderful people, right? Now, this is what I've discovered part of growing up in the church. Every one of you are wonderful. And I want to reconnect with both all of you and my own, fellow youth as well. And, now I'm here. So this is going to be a little bit of an unorthodox testimonial. Well, my path to faith was a lot different from a lot of yours. A lot of you came here and you managed to find Jesus. But, I was always in the church. I always had a connection with God. So while a lot of you found God through prayer, I found God through observing the natural world, through seeing his great acts in here. I mean, as a kid, right, I did not understand what all this Bible stuff was. It was like Aesop's fables, right? Like some cool stories, good morals, that sort of stuff. But as I grew older, I began to appreciate the stories more and more. Even though I was not going to church in middle and high school, I began to really get a strong foundation in religious philosophy. And that's when I really started to ask some really prescient questions. The really big first time I ever asked a question was when I was challenged in the Stanford summer session to talk about something that challenged my belief. And that was when I decided to hit the books and look in the Bible as to what was with predestination versus free will. Very small This was the first time I ever thought for myself as to what the Bible was. Even still, right, this is like going my first full way. I'm sure a lot of you have kind of heard this reputation college has. You go to college, all of a sudden you're this horrendous atheist, right? You drop faith entirely. And I was very curious. I was like, why is that? What's this reputation? Like you get movies like God's Not Dead that has that sort of reputation, right? And I watch a lot of YouTube videos with it. I also hear sort of similar reputation, right? But I noticed that there were a lot of people that, yes, they fell faith, but there was also a lot of people who fell even further into their own dogma, right? Like, I don't want to get too much into politics, but sometimes I felt like these people had their own conception of Jesus, and they hadn't even read the Bible, and I was like, what's up with this? Where's the love, So I began to wonder. I began to doubt, you could say. When I was growing up, doubt was always seen as something very negative. I'm sure all of you know the story of Doubt and Thomas. I know, ironic, I'm Thomas, I talk about doubt, but when I was a kid, when I was very young, the first time I heard the story, the takeaway that the pastor told me was that you should just not doubt, right? Thomas should not have doubted. He shouldn't have stuck his fingers into the empty holes in Jesus' tongue. He shouldn't have done it. But, I was curious. I was like, wait, that's not quite right. This Thomas the doubter, he was the disciple that went the furthest out of everyone. There's actually still a community in India, South India, St. Thomas Christians, look it up, right? And also, some accounts even say Thomas the doubter went as far as China, right? This guy who people call the doubter went the furthest in his faith. I thought that was remarkable and began to look even closer, right? Like, what really is doubt? I think in the context of Christianity, doubt is being able to consider your own faith and open up to new perspectives, right? Whenever I doubt something of the faith, it gives me a new opportunity to look at the Bible, right? I doubt. I look, okay, this question, like, what's really in it? I look at the Bible, I look at what other people say, and I look at what I myself think. And because of that, I'm able to go even further closer to God, right? It's kind of like making a sword. You have to temper it, right? You have to strike it harder and harder and harder. You have to ask yourself the hard questions, because how can you be sure that when you are truly tested, you can persist in your faith? And I found that was remarkable, right? This is something that was never touched upon, but it's something that I discovered. And of course, if you never doubt, you never open yourself up to new ideas, then you allow yourself to twist your own conception of faith. And when you do that, you grow into becoming a worse person, a twisted reflection of what a Christian is. No, instead, doubt allowed me to strengthen my faith in God. Each moment of doubt is an opportunity to learn. To go back to the Bible, see what your fellow Christians think, and to even see what those who have become disillusioned with the faith think. But of course, I talked about doubt, yes, but number one, you still need faith in God. Bottom line, I talked about tempering the sword, but you can't temper the sword. There's not even any iron to temper there, of course. And in that, I see God in everything. All of you, the world, everything, the wonder of natural mechanisms, how exact they are, but also the small things. The way that life struggles for adaptation, to survive and evolve into being even more perfect creations of God. The way that even in moments of incredible despair, there are people who will still give up their last bits of food just to ease the suffering of dying and sick people. I see how people's creativity and innovation propel them to become even better versions of who they are and to make wonderful new things for other people. I'm sure a lot of you are engineers and you can sympathize with that. We make things for other people, and I think that's a divinely inspired action from God. And in that I can truly see the image of God in all of you. And hopefully me as well. And from all the strength, from all this doubt, and from all the wonder I see in the world, I'm able to have a strong personal connection with God. Even in the tough times and also the easy times, I can rely on Him for help. Right? And I could know even more of His great thoughts and His great works by examining, by doubting every little thing. And that is how I've come to know all sorts of wondrous people, new wondrous ideas, and come here today to be baptized. I have constantly examined the bedrock of my faith, and I think for the most part, I'm ready for baptism. I just hope that all of you are able to take heart in my own introspection and testimonial. And so when I finally get dunked into that pool of water, I hope you'll be glad I have come to be baptized like the rest of you.
Thank you, Thomas. You guys are a natural speaker. All right. So